Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Timisola Achikun. In a significant move, President Bola Tinubu has reshuffled his 45-member cabinet, sacking 5, naming 7 new members and swapping 10 others. The sacked ministers are Uju Ken Ohaneye, who served as Minister of Women Affairs, Minister of Tourism Lolade John, Minister of Education Tahir Maman, Minister of State Housing and Urban Development Abdullahi Mohammed Kwazo, and Minister of Youth Development Jamila Bio Ibrahim. The president has also appointed 7 new ministers to his cabinet. Presidential spokesman Bayo Ononuga said the new ministers will occupy humanitarian and poverty reduction ministries, including trade and investment, labor and livestock development, including junior ministers for foreign affairs, education and housing. In the same vein, the president, through the Federal Executive Council, has scrapped the Ministry of Niger Delta and the Ministry of Sports Development. According to the council, the National Sports Commission will take over the responsibility of the Sports Ministry. The council has also approved the merger of the Ministry of Tourism with the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy. Well, to discuss further on this recent reshuffling of cabinet by President Bola Tinubu is public affairs analyst Sonny Matuka. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on the program. Now, what are your thoughts about the cabinet reshuffling by President Bola Tinubu, and what are your thoughts on the newly appointed ministers? Also, what major changes did you anticipate this reshuffling will bring?
Well, I didn't see much happening. It's same people being recycled. You know, it's just to me, it's like a political patronage. You know, we need to give some people some kind of patronage. There's nothing. There's nothing. I've looked at the antecedent. I've looked at the CVs of the new persons being appointed. I see nothing that is going to change or galvanize a new nation. Or probably the new face there is the only person, I think, Bianca, you know, I think that's the only new face I would say probably is not from that particular APC enclave. That to me should have been the best. And look at it this way. Nigerians are already talking about the bloated, wastefulness in the cabinet number. You having 48 and you fired 5 and you are now bringing in 7. You know, we are going to have, I don't know what actually is our problem. 50 ministers doing what? You know, doing really what are they going to do? And with all the paraphernalia and everything, I don't see anything happening. Remember that the president just created the Ministry of Livestock, you know, which even added to the burden we are talking about. What is the difference between Minister of Livestock and a Minister of Agriculture? So when you look at everything that's been done, even the merger, there's nothing different. I think we have a problem. Where we are supposed to merge, we didn't. The ones that are not supposed to be merged are what we are jubilating. And of course, I just saw this thing as part of a ploy by the government. You know, anytime there's a problem, that is a serious problem engulfing the nation, what I discovered, our leader will always pull up something to give us an idea, oh, we are working. And that is exactly what is happening. Sacking 5 ministers, bringing in 7, is not the core problem of Nigerians today. We want to see black and white. What has this government been able to do to reduce poverty, to reduce the hunger, to reduce the out-of-school children in the schools? And we are looking at what can this government do to reduce even the number of national grid collapses. You can see that hunger is everywhere. Just recently, we saw a video clip where Nigerians are queuing for a loaf of bread. And you can imagine what that means. We've been reduced to beggars. We are reduced to something I can't even fathom. As at 10 years ago, if anybody tells me that Nigeria is going to be like this, I will curse that person. But today, Nigerians are picking from dustbin. So the government are very, very much aware They know how to twist Nigerians. They know the docility of Nigerians. They know how to pick us and reduce us into focusing on something that has no meaning to our lives. And that is exactly what the government, the president did. He traveled all the way for 2 weeks vacation in France. All that he can come up with is just to change ministers. And what has that change got to do? The people that were supposed to change, it didn't change. There was just this analogy that somebody was giving to me. You know, you have 48 people who have been eating and eating and eating. So suddenly you discover that some people are eating more than others. And then you say, okay, let's prune and see why all these ones are eating more than these ones. And what the government did was they now select the few that are overeating and then bring in new that we add to eat. The problem is not about overeating. It is the wastages of those people overeating. So these are the issue. We have not parasitized our problem in this country. I always say it. The day we parasitize our problem, we will get it right. This government, as far as I'm concerned, are borrowing to spend. They are borrowing to share. Because if you're a debtor, if you know you are borrowing money, what does that mean? You tighten your belt. You give reasons why people should even say, yes, this government I say we should endure. We are enduring because the government officials are enduring too. But we don't see it. Instead of Nigerians, seeing their leaders, being in partnership, let me put it, being in empathy to their miseries, we see our leaders globetrotting. We see our leaders lavish and exotic lifestyles. These are not what we expect. And of course, like I said earlier, I don't see anything, happening. I think this is just a ploy to shift our gaze from the reality on ground or the problem on ground to assume that government is working. There's nothing that is government is not working. It's not working at all. It's like I have a problem of 100 naira and you are telling me that, if I give you 1 kobo, can it solve the problem? No, it won't. Because Nigerian problem is hybrid right now. Nigerian problems are hunger. Nigerian problem is even uncertainty of their lives. Security is not everywhere. As I am here now in the village, I'm thinking about security. So you can see everybody is now a security himself. So the little thing that ought to do, even the place I want this reshufflement to be, it didn't. You see what is happening. You see the power sector. What is happening? Those areas that are core to the national development weren't touched. You're touching Niger Delta. Those are not the core problem we have. The core problem is the defense, the ministry security. We talk about hunger. We're talking about the economy. Look at how we have floated our naira. Now every Nigeria is floating right now. You can't float your naira when you're dollarized. You can't. You think the country, Venezuela, Colombia, all of them that did floating or agreed on IMF, World Bank policies on the economy, they are struggling to survive. Nobody float his heart and expect that body to be good. Your currency is your heart. So Nigeria floating their heart and believing that it's going to work by looking for external surgeon. We're just wasting our time because even these external surgeons don't even like us. If they see a way to kill us, they will do that. And that is why the World Bank is coming with double mouth. They will tell you today our economy is moving this. They will tell you tomorrow it will take us 15 years for us to recover. So what are we doing? Complex, inferiority complex. We cannot look into ourselves, into our country, and say, what can we get from our own environment? What is the economy indices here? Is it that we can't get people that are great who can provide solutions without looking at World Bank, without looking at the IMF? We have great guys. Even abroad, we get them. But the problem is that, I'm going to say it here now, the problem is that if you look at the economists or the financial sector right now, it is now regionalized. It's regionalized. Most of those people here are now Yorubas. I have to say it open because people should be able to know the truth. It's not about merit. It's not about tribe. If you look at the justice system, the criminal justice system is now regionalized. It's no more merit. on federal character issue. It is now regional, it's mostly packed up by Yorubas. So if you look at it, that Igbos are now more or less, I don't even know whether they are the fifth generation or fifth citizens. They are no more anywhere. But we are looking at, I'm not talking about tribe right now, but I'm talking about a country that will look for merit. People that can get them out of this doldrum. People that can work and ensure that Nigeria remain Nigeria, not just a pancake of tribalism, a pancake of religiosism. No, we need people who can look at this problem, critical problem, and solve the problem. But as of today, what we have in national whatever is Lagos boys, and Lagos boys are really working. We can see now how Lagos was built. Now Nigeria is being built like that way. So what can I say? As far as I'm concerned, what they did or what they are doing, or these five whatever, is just a ploy. They just want to remove our eyes from the problem we're having. And that's just the note and the crown. That's just the summarized issue. The government knew the docility of Nigerians. They knew that if you just put something, Nigerians will shift the gaze. They will leave their problem. They will leave their hardship. They will leave their agony, their miseries, and pursue issues that have no meaning to even their lives. So that's what I have to say that.
Let's now take a look at the merger of the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Culture and Creative Economy, as well as the dissolved Ministry of Niger Delta and Ministry of Sports Development. What do you think about these mergers, and what should Nigerians be expecting going forward?
Yeah, I think the only ministry I will accede is the merger of the tourism and culture, and that's the only one I will say yes. I think the merger was appropriate, but the other ones that they could have merged, the Ministry of Marine Economy is the same thing as the Ministry of Transport. The Ministry of Agriculture is the same thing with the Ministry of Livestock. The Ministry of the sports, the Ministry of Sports is okay. But my problem about the sports is that when you talk about sport development, you're looking at the area of use. So if they have carved out area for youth development on sports, it would have been better. But what they did for the sports and I was like, okay, let's look at it that way from the perspective of, they want to cut costs and they want to bring it down the ministry. But do you think that the ministry have reduced? No, the ministry has not reduced. Instead of bringing it in that 5, they are now increasing to 7. So if you merge ministries, the tendency is that we are supposed to see a minimized number of ministers being appointed. But instead of even around 3 or 2, we saw 7. So there's no reason for that. And there's not even, for me, it is just on paper. They're just escalating it that they've done anything. They didn't do anything, as far as I'm concerned. Because if you merge all this, they're supposed to be shrinking in the number of ministers, but it's not so. You can see it, you can hear it, you can understand that this is not the truth. It is just a mere fallacy. It is a falsehood. It is not true. It is just, like I said before, it's a way of making Nigerians believe. It's a make-believe issue. They've not in any way done anything. If you merge, what is the essence of the merge? What's the benefit of the merge? The merge is supposed to reduce the number of ministries. But we discovered that it's not going to reduce the number of ministries. Instead of reducing the number of ministries, we are increased by 2. So that means that we are still having to have, despite the merger, there are some other ministries that are going to be created, because these 7 that was created must have ministries. So that is just, like I said, is deceit. The government, this government is full of deceit, and that's what I have to tell you. Because if you are following what they are saying, it will not go anywhere. They don't mean it, because if they mean it, they will have reduced the number of ministers to at least 25, at least even 20. At the time of Shagari and co, we have 18 ministries, and they are working, and they function accurately. Now, even Buhari didn't go this far. Buhari was 30-something ministers. But now, you created 48 ministries. And apart from the 48 ministries, you come on air and say, oh, I'm scrapping, I'm merging, And instead of merging, instead of what you authentically see physically, where otherwise the number that you merge that should have shrink the ministries, what we discover is that instead of shrinking the ministries, is elaborated, it is escalated, and I wonder in the next few days we'll hear where these 7 ministries are going to be, and that's what I will say now. Thank you.
I really appreciate your time with us on the program, Public Affairs Analyst Sonny Maduka. We'll take a pause and return shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back. We're still discussing the cabinet reshuffling by President Bola Tinubu, and my next guest is political affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Thank you for making out time for us on the program, sir. Now, major opposition parties like the People's Democratic Party and Social Democratic Party, SDP, among others, have described President Bola Tinubu's reshuffling of his cabinet and merging of ministries, as well as sacking of some ministers, as a diversion to hide what they describe as the ineptitude of his administration. What are your thoughts on this statement?
I do not agree with them, and it is also not totally unexpected that they will characterize it as a diversion. I think they just wanted to criticize for criticizing's sake. Nigerians generally have been looking forward to this reshufflement or redeployment because we feel that the Tinubu administration is not performing optimally, and so for him to keep these 48 ministers for 4 years is not something that is welcome. So if majority of Nigerians feel that this reshufflement is desired, well, I don't think we should take kindly to what the PDP and the other opposition party is saying. In any event, the All Progressive Grand Alliance has gained by the appointment of Bianca Odumegwu, and they have lauded the president for this for our appointment, because to them it has expanded the scope of government of national unity. So we have 3 political parties at the aim of affairs at the center now. We have the APC leading the pack. We have PDP with Nyesom Wike, and we now have Bianca Odumegwu from All Progressive Grand Alliance. So 3 parties out of 19, that is also a welcome development as far as I'm concerned.
Well, as much as we have people who disagree or do not find, the need for a reshuffling, or do not find a real reason for the reshuffling, the Director General of the Nigeria Employers Consultative Association, Adewale Oyerinde, says the reshuffling was a step in the right direction. Now, this has generated mixed reactions among stakeholders in the country. Of course, there are those who disagree and those who don't.
Well, I'm not surprised with Oyeninde's position. In any, as we always say, what faces one person is backing another person. So, like I said, majority of Nigerians were expectant that Tinubu will make this restructuring or will reshuffle his cabinet. So it's in tandem with public mood. Even the special advisor to the president on public communication yesterday night said the president acted on people's demand, or that it was the reshufflement was based on the feedback the Tinubu administration got for him to move things around, and that it was in tandem with what the Nigerians want. So I'm not surprised at what Oyenide said, but so much is given from him what is expected. It is hoped that this new appointee and those who have been reshuffled will double down on the various developmental challenges that is facing Nigeria. We have high inflation, high food inflation, high mortality rate, we have high level of corruption, we have high insecurity, we have even high level of human capital deficiencies. So they all have their work cut out for them. And I do hope that they will not see this as opportunity to embezzle, to loot, and to marry. This is not time for personal aggrandizement. This is the time to work and justify their inclusion in the president's cabinet.
Well, quite a number of Nigerians are of the opinion that the Minister of Defense, that's Bello Matawale, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabo, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Boyega Oyetola, should have been replaced or, touched on a bit, citing the frequent collapse of the national grid, rising insecurity in the nation, and that the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy should be scrapped and merged with another ministry. What's your take on this, these ideas that people have put forward?
I think people may just be saying what comes to their mind, but in true sense, we need to reflect very deeply on what you are calling for. I'm not saying that these ministers, the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Minister of Power, I'm not saying that they have performed, but go back to what I said earlier, that you cannot make a brick without a straw, and you have to break an egg in order to make an omelette. These people must be well-resourced. Yes, Adelabu may not have performed well as Minister of Power, but what are the hindrances? What are those things that have not made him to perform? Is TCN, that's Transmission Company of Nigeria, is it well-resourced? Have we done sufficient privatization? What has happened with the devolution of electricity from the exclusive legislative list to concurrent legislative list? Can we say in good conscience that he has had the full support that he needs? So, and it's at the discretion of the president to remove anybody at any time. I'm not sure what happened yesterday is even a final. Recall that during the last ministerial nomination, there were a number of people whose nomination did not go through. One of them is Malam Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, and the other one was the lady from Kano, Miriam, who was substituted at the National Assembly on the morning of her screening. El-Rufai went through the screening. I think there were 2 or 3 of them who went through the screening, but their screening was stepped down, and they have to be substituted. So I think this is an ongoing thing. It's not yet concluded, and the president reserved the prerogative to change any of his cabinet member at any time. They are just lieutenants and aides to the president, whether you are a minister or you are a special advisor or senior special assistant. You are just a mere aide that can be replaced. Even if you are half a day in office, you can be redeployed. So it's not a guarantee. It's not a position that is sacrosanct, unlike the National Assembly or the State Assembly, where you are elected directly and cannot be easily removed. As a head of the president, as a minister, as a special advisor, as a senior special assistant, you can be removed at any point in time. Look at when Bette Edu was suspended. That was since January. Barely 4 months in office, she was suspended, and her fate was finally sealed yesterday.
We have no choice but to be optimistic that this reshuffling by President Bola Tinubu will yield results, improve productivity in these ministries. Our political affairs analyst Mr. Jidojo, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on this program. Well, that's all we can take on this episode. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.